Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody back to another edition of Foreclosurepedia Podcast. Foreclosurepedia Podcast is a presentation of the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network, which premieres each Sunday evening at 2300 hours. I want to talk to everybody a little bit tonight about a new and quite disturbing trend that I'm seeing flowing out of the FSMs that used to maintain the HUD 3.0 contract. And as everybody knows, and we reported first here on Foreclosurepedia podcast, the new contract is shifted over to PK management, at least for out here. The 1A is shifted over to 6A. PK management has taken that over. So this podcast doesn't really apply to them. This applies to the current FSMs that we deal with right now. What we've been dealing with is that this is a property we just finished doing, and this property here we got a kick out on, and that was because of leaf removal. Now, I want you to look at this property. First, let's take into consideration these are about 60 to 80 foot trees. That's a deep mountain. Most of our work, by and large, other than Knox Metro and some of the other metroplexes, is up in the mountains. And when I say mountains, folks, you're not even getting up into these with chains. You better have four-wheel drive. You better have a dually, and it better be bedded down with cement bags or cement blocks on the back. With that said, 01 October to 31 March, by and large, has always been the HUD accepted standards for maintaining lawns. And we just recently got a notification, excuse me, that the lawn maintenance is shut down. And so, concentrate on inordinate amounts of leaves and such. This property right here, this is only about 15 minutes after I'd removed all the bags from here, got all the leaves up. This literally is what it fell while I was trying to get this out, my bags out of the picture, the vehicle out of the picture, to take the photograph to send in. The FSMs are sitting on the sidelines, acting like they're doing us all a favor by shutting down the lawn maintenance. Make no mistake, they're doing nobody any favor. I tell you what, I'd have been far happier to simply take my riding mower and stage some shots, or just crunch up all the leaves and just simply be done with them. But it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way at all. This disturbing trend is costing me in upwards of 3 times the amount of money to maintain these properties as it did when I was cutting the grass. In all the original contracts we ever signed, none of this was ever spelled out in there. Bear in mind also, for the previous 15 years, that's a decade and a half, that is 3 complete cycles of these companies, we have never encountered the type of resistance that we are encountering now. Let's talk a little bit about leaf removal. Leaf removal in the real world and leaf removal and what it really costs. This is a website I chose because I can take a comparison of Knoxville, Tennessee, and what does it cost me to remove leaves. On average, each and every time that a contractor goes to a property and removes those leaves, the average is $410. Ranges from $336 to $484 on average. Maximum $800, and that's on some pretty large properties. Just so everybody knows that I'm not just blowing smoke, the average nationally is $355. Where did the data come from? People have come to this site, they've logged in, they've paid money to log in, so they're obviously not hustling here. This is similar to many other sites. So, here's what we're talking about. So let's go back here for a second. Let's go ahead and put in a Knoxville zip code. $410. Now let's do a little math here. Now, currently, let's use an average. I don't know. Let's pick a number. Let's say I maintain over 15,000 square miles. I still work in the field. The owner still works in the field. All of our subcontractors still work in the field. We are not order mills. So I don't know, let's say 40 properties, because that's probably an average load for a normal contractor. We maintain a lot more than that, but these routine biweekly maids do not pay 3 digits. What I mean by that is they pay under $100 each. You go to the property twice a month, and you clean it, you make sure that the crackheads haven't come in and stripped out all the copper, vacuum the floors, tend the lawns. But if I got 40 properties, and shoot, let's just go ahead and say I'm getting $100 a property. Clear that out. So I got 40 properties at $100 each. It's $4,000. And if I'm doing them twice a month, excuse me, that's $8,000. Now, let's remember that number, 8,000. So let's input this number, 410 times 40 times twice a month. That's $32,800 just in leaf removal. Nothing else. That's each and every single time. Now, because that's the deal here. Every time we're going back to these properties, we're bagging up 50 and 60 bags of leaves at our own cost, taking them to the dump, and paying for the disposal thereof with absolutely zero reimbursement. Let's go ahead and subtract the money. Supposedly we're being paid for this. $8,000. That's a loss every single month of $24,800. Let's not bullshit around here, folks. That is a tremendous loss. No one in the United States of America, and as far as I know, the world, can function on a $24,800 loss each and every month when they are a small business or a sole proprietorship. Let's talk a little bit about really where it starts hitting in the pocket. I copy and pasted precisely, the IQR is a kick out. It's saying, hey, you screwed up, go back and do this right here. Return to the property and complete the lawn maintenance. Well, hold on. Now you remember the lawn maintenance is ended, including but not limited to leaf removal. Now, let's say I had the 40 properties. And understand, this cycle, I had every single property kicked out. I cover 15,000 square miles. The number was far higher than 40 properties, but that's irrelevant. I'm going back now twice to pick up leaves. Leaf removal. You know, if there was leaves that were piled up to the top here and they stretched out to here, I understand that because that's a fire hazard. That's going to cause issues to the siding. They're eventually going to begin to decompose and could, in theory, compromise a crawl space, the footer system. If the gutters aren't working properly, it could cause issues with drainage, things of that nature. But this isn't the case. What we're talking about, let's look very closely here, even in some of them where they're on the grass, this is a very moot and immaterial thing. And the other thing I wanted to point out as well, Hurricane Sandy just came through here. We got both the prior effects, you'll notice by the date right here. You can look at the skyline. We were getting 35 and 40 mile an hour gusts on this day. It wouldn't have mattered what I did. There's going to be leaves there. It doesn't matter what I do when I leave. The inspector's going to come back behind and they're going to say there's leaves everywhere. The reason I'm making this podcast tonight is that I'm hoping that other contractors in the area, other states, will reach out and contact me. Because we really need to begin to consolidate our grievances. We need to start, at least up here, put together some tri-state discussions. And we need to talk about how to meaningfully engage the FSMs and say, look, when you're hitting our pockets at 24 grand a piece each and every month, something has to give. I'm not saying that the FSMs need to pay that 24 grand. But when you're looking at a contract that pays $1 billion with a B just for this area up here alone, you know, something has to give. Something really does. Now, we all know the contract's winding down, and we all know that the intra-office rivalries are occurring because some people are leaving and some people are coming on board. And most of these FSMs are going to shift over into a pre-conveyance model. But to take that out upon the subcontractors whom are making these FSMs this money, while the golden parachutes are being sewn up in an office in back rooms, is unconscionable. This is absolutely improper. There's improprieties afoot here. This is something we all need as contractors, we need to sit down and really start having a heart-to-heart. I'm encouraged, I'm hopeful in the situation with PK Management, even though they've never handled this area out here. They've, to date, seemed to be receptive to discussing information about these new geographic situations, and I'm hopeful that they'll at least take under consideration, you know, some of the concerns that we have as contractors. I doubt they watch our videos. It's no big deal to us. What is important is all the contractors, you guys and ladies that I receive the hundreds of emails from, you know, weekly. I really appreciate you guys sticking with it, telling me what's going on, and I promise you, whatever it takes, Foreclosurepedia is going to do its best to ensure not only yours, but everybody's best interests are covered. It's been another edition of Foreclosurepedia podcast. I want to take a moment and ask everybody, if you have an extra dollar or two, let's get it out to the victims there of Sandy. You know, all of us are fortunate that we have food, clothing, and shelter. Some of these people are less fortunate. Let's do what we can, even if you don't have an extra dollar, maybe a can of food, a warm blanket, whatever it might be. Let's try to get that out to those victims. Give me a shout out anytime you can, COO@foreclosurepedia.org. Thank you.